BKS presents You Can Draw with Stef Wilson and Kerry Ann.
Going to draw is I wanted to do a rat or a mouse or something like that. So we're going to draw a rat barbarian because Kerry and I have been playing D&D lately and it just seemed fun. And I would think a crazy rat would probably make a great barbarian. He's even got cheese on his shield, so that's going to be fun to draw. Speaking of cheese, so get your pencils ready.
I'm not sure if I'm going to do this tonight. Try.
A crazy rat named Joshua. There you go.
They're all named Joshua.
So, I always like to give you guys a starting point so that everything lays out on the page well. Like if you start drawing at the top of a drawing, you may come up short or go too long. So by setting everything, we want to make Joshua work for that though. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw a crazy eye. So his face is going to be right here. So again, 2/3 of the way up the page is like my favorite starting point because it kind of scales everything into the center of the page. So what you want to do is we're going to draw a gumdrop shape for an eye. Okay, with the bottom being the flattened out part. He's a crazy rat barbarian, so he's got big eyes. And what you do is you put a pupil right about here. Okay? And then just to give this a little bit of shape, what you want to do is come with a lower eyelid like that right underneath. A little crescent shape. Oh, I'll zoom in. Sorry, guys. A little easier for you to see. And right on the other side, just do the same thing, but just not as long. Just a little short line. Now, imagine another gumdrop, but smaller. And not just smaller because it's behind the other one, but also smaller because he's got crazy eye. So what we want to do is make this one actually proportionally much smaller. Come down, and the gumdrop shape would disappear behind here. And this pupil goes right next to the other eyeball. And now you got a set of crazy eyes looking at you. Give this one a little lower eyelid too. Now normally there'd be some sort of head coming on the back, but I gave him a helmet. So right here, draw a little line down. And that's the edge of his helmet. And if you start from the top of the eye...
Matt said he missed what we were drawing.
Huh? Where? Oh, sorry, Matt. It is a crazy rat barbarian. Or Viking. Whatever you choose. So from the eyeball, that little line you drew, you want to go parallel to that like that. But don't go all the way back because we've got to put his ear in here. Now the ear is also a gumdrop shape. Same as his eye, just going a little bit angled towards the back. And we're going to put a little notch in it. So start drawing a gumdrop shape going back. Okay, all the way up because rats have big ears. Then start coming down. See, it's going to turn into a gumdrop shape there. Just put a little notch in there. And bring it around about to where his head was going over there. Draw a line going along the top of the ear like that. That's the ridge of his ear. Okay. Everything in here is the inside of his ear. From the back of his ear, one last gumdrop shape. This guy's a lot of gumdrop shape. And that is his helmet. Okay? And how can you tell it's a helmet? Because you put some little bolts on it. Maybe one going behind the eye. And we'll draw a little more helmet out the back here behind his ear when we're done. But while we're here, we're going to give him those little Viking ears so we don't have to come back. Okay? So what we do is go up with a little line, bring it all the way down. Do that like 3 times, going a little bit further back each time. Now here, that little Viking wing would be on his helmet, but his ear is in the way. So we're going to just draw it out from his ear again. So long line out and back. Slightly smaller one, and one last one there. So he's got little wings on his helmet. And also while we're here, we want to give him that crazy eye. So you're going to draw an eyebrow floating in midair, which is typical of animation, but not so much realistic drawings. Where eyebrow does not float in space, but it does in cartoons. Now this is where he gets fun. From his eye, draw a little bit of a line. What he's going to do is have a nose sticking up here, okay? So, and I'll show you real quick so you know where we're going next. We're doing the nose. So basically a big sausage shape twisted around a bit or whatever. So from that little line, start a little bit further back and go past it with a rounded shape. Curve, crescent, I'm not sure which should go. But you stop right there. Because we got to put his nose on the end. This is his snout, so we got to put a nose. His nose, an absolutely perfect oval right at the end. Okay? And while you're there, give it that special black shading, except the top corner to show the gleam. Okay? Classic cartoon nose. Now let's continue his snout and bring it back here into a crazy smile. So what you want to do is swoop down. Okay? But then at some point, when you swoop down, see that line right underneath his eye? As you swoop down, start to head up a little bit and do a line parallel to that lower eyelid. Give him some teeth. Draw a curved line down, up, and a curved line back up. And don't make these completely even, because, you know, he's crazy. So draw a second one up like that. So a little gap or a little space or a little unevenness just adds to the crazy. Now what you're going to do here is we're going to give him a smile, okay? And he's got an open mouth, all right? So right here from his snout, here's his teeth. Go back a bit from his teeth. Swing a curved line down like that. And then what I want you to do is draw a little line around for a bottom lip like this. And now, if you're making a crazy expression, mad expression, there's a lot of different ways. But to make a big goofy grin like this, what you do is you shoot up in a nice curved line all the way up to that line. And give this a little uptick there. And now what you want to do is a curved line on the inside of the mouth like that. And a little rounded line for tongue there. And what you do is, because that looks weird until you shade it, you make that very light and you shade this dark. Or if you're going to go back and color it, just remember, you make this dark for the inside of his mouth. This here is the other side of his mouth, so you leave him that white on this picture. We're coloring it the same color as you color the rest of them. And now you got a crazy grin. Now right here, what we do is we give him a couple little jaggedy hair. I mean, I'm making him basically smooth. I'm not, drawing fur lines all around. You sure can, but for cartoon or animation, you tend not to. So a couple ziggity lines right there beneath his ear to show that he's got fur. It's just a kind of a representation. Then come right down here. And that's the back of his head. Now, from his lower lip, we're going to do his belly right down here, okay? So you're going to come down, and you're going to give him a little bit of a fat belly. You can do a couple zigs in here if you want to, too, because it's a big space. And then cut straight across like that to about there. Give him a belly button. Now, to get some idea where his shoulders and perspective is, you could start drawing the shoulder and the shield over here. What sometimes I'll do is I'm going to work on this side of the picture. So what we'll do is we'll give him a rounded shape. Again, like his helmet. There's a little band with some bolts on it. This is the little shoulder shield. And what you do is you draw a little line like that, a little V shape. That's the inside of his arm. That's the lower part of his arm. And now we're going to draw a big goofy glove, okay? So draw a curved line. And like we did the helmet, or like we're doing here, what we're doing is a cuff or a band. And then we're going to draw a little fist here holding a spear. So what you do is you start by drawing a thumb. A little sausage shape there. And since he's a cartoon, he's only going to have 3 fingers. Okay, like all your classical cartoons. And then what you do is you just connect them to the cuff. And he's holding a spear, but we'll draw that in later because that's a long straight line. Now what we have to do is, this is going to be the most challenging part of the drawing. What we have to do is represent a shield over here, because then we're going to draw his arm behind the shield. So there's no good way to explain this. But here's the thing. If your shield is a little ovally, if your shield is a little round, if your shield is a little triangular, that's fine. Those are all different shapes of shields. So you don't have to get any of this exactly right. What you want to do is, right here from where his neck is, you want to come out a bit. And we're going to swoop down with a long line. Okay? Slightly curved. Right down past his belly line there. Right inside that, draw another line. That's the edge of the shield. Now here's how you get the idea that the shield is rounded. Okay? From that line, draw out in a big swoop, and then come over to that inside line. Then this part of the shield disappears behind. Does that make sense? And you can see it a little bit more here, because it'll be a little bit easier to see here. Here, that line disappears behind. Then you get the idea this is the rim, and this is curved out, especially when we go and shade it. Now, because it's a shield, and you want to show it's a shield, put little bolts in it like that. Little bolts going around the outside. And when I'm talking about that 3-dimension, here's what you do. If you come in with some shading here, okay, and just go along the inside edge here, okay, then this will bring this close. This will bring this part of the shield in closer to the band around the edge. And then what you do is very lightly add a little bit more. And that kind of shading will show that this part of the shield is out further than this part. This part is back further because it's darker. So this has got a little bit of shadow to it here, but everything here is a little brighter. And that's how you show some sort of shape or roundness or dimension to it. And you can even put a little along the edge if you want to. All right, what you're going to do is we're going to draw a block of cheese on the shield as long as we're here. So draw a line going up, put a notch in it, go up a little bit more, and go straight across. Okay. Then draw a line up like a triangle. We're looking to make a triangle here, but we want to put another notch in there because it's Swiss cheese, which is the best cheese. No, actually, Swiss cheese is just the easiest to represent because everybody knows what it is. Once you start putting little hole shapes in it, everybody knows that's a block of cheese because there's nothing else that looks like it. See? If you want to draw mozzarella on there, go ahead and knock yourself out. Nobody's going to know what it is. Only Swiss cheese looks like a block of cheese, which is why it is your classic cartoon cheese. Because it tells the story by its look. Draw 2 curved lines up towards his neck there. Happy nose with a happy gleam. I love that. Draw a little curved line up. And again, like we did the shield, we want this to curve itself out like that. And that allows us to curve that around behind. So again, that's the band of his little shoulder cap. So what we do is if we put a little bolt right here, okay? And we put one down here and one here, what happens is that curve, the curve of this shape becomes apparent because when you look at it, you'll see, oh, little nail heads going around. You'll automatically do the calculation. That's the way human brains work. And you'll imagine that this is rounded because the round shapes are disappearing behind the edge. So that's one of the fun things about drawing is learning what the human brain does naturally and using that to your advantage when drawing. So there are certain ways you can draw things that, because of the way the brain works, will look immediately the way you want them to, or to show what you want them to show. Like this band on his cap would not make as much sense, maybe, first looking at it, unless you saw this one, and then you would immediately, your brain would see both of them at the same time and say, this is another one of these. Even though it's not shaped the same, it'll instinctively put the curvature in there. Okay, we've got a shield. We've got this. What we do need is his arm here, which is going into the shield. Okay, and then his forearm would curve inside the shield. Now let's give him a little loincloth. So here's the fun thing about the loincloth. This is going to be really easy. You come out, you go down, maybe you do a little zigging and zagging because it's tattered, it's broken. Have fun with it. Like don't be specific with it. We want to show that it's fabric, or that, in this case, I did chainmail. So if you put little smiles or half circles in there to show chainmail texture, which is what I used to do in my old Dungeons and Dragons drawing. There is more sophisticated way to do chainmail, but let's face it. I mean, we're drawing a barbarian rat here. I mean, how sophisticated can you get? Right here, out the back would be a rat tail. So what we do is, we're doing it from the shield. The shield is in the way. So go out, go up, give him a little crink in his tail. Don't make it perfect. He's a crazy rat. Okay? So don't make it like a perfect S shape or anything like that. Give it some bends and twists. Oh, right here, towards the bottom of the page, we're going to have a foot right here, and we're going to have a foot here. One's going to be turned out a little bit. One's going to be looking right at. So draw a very flattened out crescent. And then draw a much more rounded shape on top of it. Which is also the classic way to draw a boulder, just so you know. A boulder in the ground. If you put another little circle here, everybody thinks it's a boulder. Hey, technically it's a turtle shell, but it works. Go up with a curved line like that for his boot. Go up with a curved line like that for his boot. Draw don't connect these lines. Draw the inside front edge of his boot. We don't want to connect these lines because we want to show a rim to the boot. Because his leg is much narrower than his boot. So when his leg comes up, you want to do 2 lines right in there. Skinny leg. And now that space you left, do a little curved line behind. I'll zoom in so you guys can see. See? And now you got a skinny leg sticking into a boot. It's my favorite way to draw some sort of dimension is that slight curved line, like on gloves or sleeves or whatever. It just, your brain immediately says, hey, you know, that's a leg stuck into a boot. Look, you put a little shadow on it, and it is like clearly what it is. So anytime you draw a cuff, this position, the position of his hand where we drew the cuff here, we wouldn't see that because it's turned away. But if you can, when you draw a cuff like that, you can draw it the way we did the boot, and then everybody will know, oh yeah, that's a glove. It's a big glove. Big loose glove. Same thing on this side, except we're going to draw the same long, slightly curved line. But now we're going to draw the foot in profile. So we start with the same dome shape as we did there. Okay, but we don't finish it out. Because from here, we're going to go back to his loincloth. And we're going to go up like we did on the other one. And we're going to do the exact same thing. A little crescent inside that doesn't connect. Don't connect the crescent to the boot. Leave a space until we get his leg in there. Now get his leg in there like that. And now you can finish out that shape. And there you got it. Another leg stuck in a boot. And it's just cool when you do the shading and stuff like that because it's not sophisticated or anything, but it's just enough to show what you were trying to do. Now, this is you might want to get a ruler out for this one. I won't because that's cheating. Draw a line coming down from his fist. It'll go behind his boot. Where his arm is positioned. Oops, got a little narrow there. But that's because I'm not using a ruler. Don't be afraid to use a ruler. Go all the way up past his nose. All the way up past his nose. To give him a stick. Draw a couple. There's only one way to describe this. I'll show it up close. Draw a couple rectangles that are overlapping each other. In other words, draw a rectangle, but then draw one of the rectangles underneath. And it'll look like, I'm going to zoom in over here. It'll look like lacing. It'll look like strapping that is tying his little spearhead on. And then draw a little pointy thing at the top. And if you draw a little line on the inside, it shows that that spear has an edge. I don't know why. I just know it does. So, let's give him the shading then. Don't go all the way to the edge. And give him some nice shading along the helmet here. Or if you're going to go back and color. Stephanie does a really fantastic job with this. With the pencils. When she does these. Again, leave it light up here to show that that is the furthest outreach of the helmet. You can add a little shading to his little wingy things. But don't shade the ends, because those would be showing up in the light. But you do want to show that they're a little further back. His little headband, right by his ear, give it a little bit of shading. Not too much. And inside his ear. Follow the inside of that second line you drew. Okay? But this part of his little mousy ear would be in the light. Now, come down his arms. Give him a little bit of shading. Where it meets his body. Okay? Or underneath. You don't want to shade all of it. You want to show there's a little light falling on his arm as well. Then right underneath his eyelid. Right between his eyelids. And then right here on the bottom of his snout to show that his snout is rounded. Come all the way along that with some good shading. And I'm doing it rough. You can take your time and come back and do it if you want to make it prettier. But then it gives some dimension to his nose. In fact, you can even do a little bit of shading across the top to show that his nose is rounded. So the light is most shining. The light that you're seeing is most on this part of the nose, which would be closest to you. And this is where it's starting to curve back and curve back. Right underneath his ear, gives a little fur in the back of his neck, a little bit of shading. And then right down along his belly, what we want to show is that he's a chubby little guy. So leave all of that highlighted. Give him a little under his chin. His legs, go ahead and put them all in shade because you can't, his legs are behind the loincloth, so you don't have to worry about highlighting on his legs. That would all be in shadow. His boot, follow the shape like we did on the nose. Just go along the bottom edge and a little over the top. Bottom edge. Okay, and here we would go over the top, but this is in the light. So now we're going to follow the shape here of the boot. Okay, across. Here, go right across. You can put little lines in his tail if you wish, because that's what rat tails have. Okay. And you can shade his glove to show he's wearing a glove, so you're not confusing his hand. A nice little leather glove or whatever. You can draw some lines in the spear for wood. We should do wood sometime. That is a lot of fun to draw wood textures. You draw the knots in wood to show wood texture. It's a lot of fun to draw and very easy and, you know, not complicated at all. And there you go. You got a barbarian rat. And if you color him, just color this part of him light gray and that part of him dark gray kind of thing. Here, I'm going to freeze frame you this. I'm going to make it a little smaller so you guys can snap a picture if you need to. So you can just snap a picture with your phone. Hey, let me get him in there.
Tom says, I think drawing cute rats is your next big thing. So don't waste it.
I love it. Snap a picture of that and save it to your phone if you want to go back and do the shading and stuff. And do variations on it. Give him horns on his helmet or something like that, or horns on his shield. Like, you know, just because I drew it that way, I'm just trying to give you some ideas on shapes and stuff. Oh, I love your rat. Oh, this is awesome.
Now you had a little color. But I did,
I
did it with a pencil, though.
You did pencil color like I was drawing.
Yeah. Thank you so much for drawing and watching with us. Please like, comment, and share if you had fun.